Hi there. Let's look at animal organ systems. Then we're going to hone in on three specific ones. So in general, let's take a look at the different organ systems our bodies have, and then later on we'll address the circulatory system in detail, then the digestive system on a later video, as well as our respiratory system. So far, here's what we know. There's an organization to the way a living thing occurs. We've looked at the cell, and we know animal cells have certain organelles within them. Well, collections of cells might work together to form what's called a tissue. For example, our muscles have tissue, which are groups of cells that work together. We have nervous tissue, we have connective tissue. Groups of tissues then can work together to form an organ. For example, our stomach has different groups of tissues. It's got muscle, connective, it's got nerve tissue, it's got blood, it's got skin tissue. So an organ is groups of tissues that perform a similar purpose or function. Then groups of organs to work together to form an organ system. And finally, organ systems can work together to make an organism. So from smallest to larger to larger to larger to larger. That's a level of organization. So a healthy human depends on a variety of different organ systems to make it function. And these organ systems work in balance, or sometimes we call it a fancy word, and that is homeostasis. Homeostasis means the body works in balance. Homeostasis. So our bodies have nervous system, which includes the brain and spinal cord, and then all the nerves that branch off the spinal cord. We have a muscular system, the circulatory system, which includes our heart, as well as blood and blood vessels. We have a digestive system. We have our skeletal system, which acts to protect our bodies and includes the bones. We have an excretory system, which includes our kidneys, as well as our bladder. And we have a respiratory system, which includes the lungs to help us breathe. So here we are again, circulatory system, heart, blood vessels, digestive system, mouth, throat, esophagus, stomach, liver, pancreas, small and large intestine. We have our hormonal system, which is the endocrine system. We have our excretory system, kidney, bladder, ureter, urethra. Our skin and lungs help a little bit. Our immune system, which is the white blood cells. Integument, that's the skin, hair, and nails. Our muscular system, our nervous system, our reproductive, our respiratory, and our skeletal system. So let's look in detail at the respiratory system. Our heart is located near the center, just slightly to our left or of our bodies, which is why our left lung is a little bit smaller than our right lung. It's a hollow structure inside, and it's composed almost entirely of muscle, and it's about the size of our fist. Here it is again. It's protected by a thin layer. In the walls of the heart, there are two layers of tissue that form a sandwich. The heart contracts about 72 times a minute, and it'll pump almost 170. The right and left sides of the heart are separated by a wall called the septum, right here. And the septum prevents the mixing of oxygen-rich and oxygen-poor blood. The right side of your heart, which is here, that's kind of weird, because we're looking at it, but we always think of this as the right side of your heart, as it is in your body. and we always think of this as the left side of your heart, as it is. There are 4 chambers: the right atrium, the left atrium, the right ventricle, and the left ventricle. And they have valves to prevent anything from going in. So the upper chambers receive blood. So the right atrium receives blood low in oxygen and high in CO2 from all the parts of your body. So blood comes in low in oxygen from the top and from the bottom of your body into here. And the bottom 2 chambers are the ones that push or pump. The right ventricle pumps to your lungs, and the left ventricle pumps oxygen-rich blood to all the parts of your body. So here's the pathway that blood happens. All the blood from your head and arms and leg and trunk, low in oxygen and high in CO2, collects here. Then it travels to your right ventricle. Then it goes out the pulmonary artery to your left lung and to your right lung. In your lungs, it gets rid of the CO2 and it collects oxygen, which is O2, and then comes back to the left atrium through the pulmonary vein to the left ventricle, and then from the left ventricle it goes out the biggest vessel in your body called the aorta to your head and arms, as well as to your legs and trunk, to drop off oxygen or O2 to your cells. Let's talk about veins. Veins have valves in them. And so let's go there to blood vessels. There are 3 types of blood vessels, Arteries, which carry blood away from the heart, and they're almost always rich in O2. Capillaries, which are tiny vessels that go right to your cells. They're so thin that they allow oxygen and carbon dioxide to diffuse. And then veins, which always carry back to the heart, carry blood back to the heart, and veins almost always are high in carbon dioxide. So here we are. Arteries are larger. They carry blood from the heart to the tissues of the body. They carry oxygen. They're thick-walled to withstand high pressure. Capillaries are the smallest. Their walls are only 1 cell thick, and it's important for bringing in nutrients and oxygen to the tissues and absorbing CO2 from the waste products. Veins, once blood passes through the capillary system, it must be returned to the heart by the veins. Walls contain connective tissue. Largest veins contain one-way valves to keep blood from flowing down. And so a vein usually carries blood back to the heart. So they have these valves in them to trap blood because they're low in pressure so that it can keep flowing towards the heart. The heart produces the pressure. Blood pressure is important because it helps us tell whether an artery is blocked or not. And high blood pressure is called the silent killer because we're not sure whether it's occurring or not. So you can get something called arteriosclerosis, which is fatty deposits in the walls of the arteries. Deposits can obstruct blood flow and cause high blood pressure and increase the risk of blood clots. If a blood clot breaks free, blood flows to the tissues. Heart attack is a big disorder. It's due to the thickening of your arteries. Your heart muscle begins to die if it gets no O2. And stroke is a blood clot that may break free and block a vessel leading to the brain. Let's talk about blood cells. Our blood is made up of red cells, white cells, and platelets. Plasma is straw colored. It's 90% water and then 10% dissolved. So here are red blood cells. Notice there's no nucleus in them, and they're disc shaped and they carry oxygen Here are white blood cells. They fight foreign invaders. And platelets help clot blood. They are sent to a cut or a wound to help stop or clot any cuts. Hemophilia is a disorder where people have trouble clotting blood. And so here's how the heart works. And we talked about blood flow. Let's look at this quick clip from this website.
A human organism has a breathing or gas exchange system in order to take in oxygen and get rid of carbon dioxide. A digestive system breaks down large molecules into small soluble ones which can pass into the blood. The digestive system includes the gullet, stomach, intestines, liver, and pancreas.
Esophagus is gullet.
A circulatory system transports substances around the body. A nervous system has senses which respond to stimuli, and a brain to coordinate and send responses to different parts of the body. An excretory system gets rid of waste products, like urea, and maintains the balance of water in the body.
Kidneys right there.
A musculoskeletal system provides support and protection and places for the muscles to attach.
So that was a quick overview of the different organ systems as well as a specific explanation of our circulatory system.